Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review is BMF Season 3, Episode 6. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's get into it. So this episode is with basically a filler. Nothing happened too much. Just push the story on a little bit. You know, after last week's episode, I said that was like a scene, that fight gun shooting scene was a scene out of the throwback films from the 90s. So, and this episode starts off with the funerals. So you had in Atlanta, Meech was at a funeral. The little kid that got killed in that those projects had a funeral, and Meech showed up to that funeral. They pay his respect, plus to try to make peace with Remy Ransom, but he really was putting a play in for Remy Ransom's right hand man, and Remy don't want no peace. He pretty much want to take Meech and them out. Remy Ransom's crew got the he has the numbers, but they don't have the weight or the artillery. The MKs, they have the weight and the artillery. Meech and them just got the weight. So they want to join forces so they could take over the MKs. That's Meech's plan. Meanwhile, back in Detroit, Detective Bryant is mourning the loss of his son at the funeral. And Terry is at the having a funeral for their guy that they lost in last week's episode. So Brian getting his space goes over to Terry and them funeral and pushes Terry in a hole. So it just shows his frustration and anger with BMF, and really it's starting to be Terry right now, of course, because Meech ain't there. Meanwhile, Remy tells his right hand pretty much it's tells his right hand it's on go when you see Meech and his crew. So from there, what takes place, you have Duffy in the house after the funeral, and they're talking about Rip, who passed away, that had the song. And of course, only people from Detroit that's left is Duffy and Meech, and everybody else is pretty much in Atlanta. And so Meech pretty much tell everybody, we're gonna have a repass at my house this evening. And so I kept saying what the girl name was that is becoming Meech's like his soldier homegirl. Her name's Tina. Kept saying it, I just couldn't think of what her name is, but she's starting to she's with BMF. She does a lot of stuff. And I think on one of the documentaries, I kept seeing this woman that was talking. You tell she was real close to Meech, and I think that's who she's gonna be. I'm not sure, but the resemblance is there. And this girl looked like she's a rider for Meech and everything like that. So right now, also in this episode, the DEA, the Red Dogs, who they brought up a few episodes ago talking about that they really clean up the streets for the Atlanta Olympics. They get a hold of Duffy. So back in Detroit, Meech has a conversation with Terry and talking to him about leadership, and basically telling them, like, you gotta show the love. Like, Terry is a stickler, you know, he ain't trying to spend that much money. And Meech is like, no, show people love. It'll come back to you. People will treat you different, you know, they work harder for you. So after he had that conversation with T, LaWanda, she's having contractions. She almost due. So that's what he's been dealing with her the whole season. The whole episode. Meanwhile, this episode also shows T's interaction with Lakeisha, and pretty much how she got her claws in T, even though she got her good moments, but she wants to have T all to herself in her situation, but not wants him to avoid his own situation with his kids, because it's a moment where LaWanda was she told T, let's go on a vacation, and T pretty much was like, yeah, right after LaWanda, she great had a baby any day now, so as soon as she do that, then we'll go on vacation. So she had that look. Then right before he got the call that LaWanda was having a baby, the Keisha, she took off his pager and his phone, so he couldn't get nothing. But they was at the restaurant, and his little sister called the restaurant phone. So that was terrible that she did that. But it just shows you the side of her that people don't like. So on top of all that, what you had going on is back in Detroit. Not back in Detroit, my bad. Back in Atlanta, you had Meech trying to set up shop. He's talking to Angel. He needed, after Duffy got snatched by the Red Dogs, he needed Angel to find out some information. Angel came back, found out information pretty much saying that Greenie dropped a dime on him and said that he was responsible for that Meech was responsible for somebody's death, and there's going to be a warrant out for his arrest. So by her telling them that there's going to be a warrant out for his arrest, Meech knew he had to get low, and his plan is now to go head out to St. Louis with Jay Pusher, set up shop there for some time, check out their infrastructure. Meanwhile, that draw the heat down, telling everybody everything's still in motion. I'm just gonna step away for a minute. Before he left, he also got up with Remy's Ransom's right hand man, and pretty much telling him, link up with the other crews. Y'all need to get Remy Ransom out of here so we can do business. Back in Detroit, T went to go try to make peace with Henrietta. Now Henri is one of the worst villains. Like, it's her character. I don't know why they made her. I don't know if that was a real character in real life, but they made her character too unbelievable and too goofy for that role. It just doesn't. It comes off the screen. It's pushed. The character's goofy. Doesn't make sense. It's unbelievable. So every time she's on screen, it's just like, I guess the actress is she just doing her role, but that character is like, it's goofy, it's unbelievable. Other than that, so T goes to meet up with Henri to make peace and squash it. Basically said, let's get money. She's telling him basically F off, and so when he goes and talks to Lakeisha, she pretty much tell him, go speak to her dad, Blaze. You know, he's into politics and stuff like that, and you know, he might be a more sensible head. T go talk to him. He tell T pretty much, I appreciate you come talk to me like a man, but you know, family, I can't really get in the middle of that, but I'll talk to her on your behalf. So he did talk to Henrietta and pretty much told Henri like she should take the deal, stop squandering the business and everything he built up with her pride, and she pretty much said, you need to respect me. Even though you wanted a boy, he said, no, I wanted a lady. And basically it showed their dynamic, father and daughter dynamic, and struggles between the two. So Detective Bryant, he pretty much was pissed. He went on thinking he was going push up on Henri. He went into the building, beat a couple guys up, and then pulled a shotgun on Henri. But Blaze was there to pull the gun out of him, pretty much basically saying, you know, Daughter's disturbed, but I'll blow your head off. You ain't gonna kill my daughter. So they beat Detective Brian up and threw him out on the road somewhere. That's the last you seen of him in the episode. Also, he was fired, so he's no longer on suspension. He's terminated now. Then Detective Yen, she she's now suspended. And then you also have Detective Colby from last week. She did pass away, so we already seen that. That was pretty much you. And then her dad, Detective Yen, she was crying with her dad at the restaurant. He was giving her favorite meal, and she pretty much was saying, "Hey," he told her, like, if you gotta be willing to go through the fire if that's something that you really want. So that's gonna be a thought. Now, with her being suspended and Brian being terminated, they gonna both feel like they got nothing to lose, and Henri got some heat coming to her. Meanwhile, that's gonna open things up for T, what I believe. T, the one that you keep hearing, I didn't get his name, but when it comes to T, when they always meet at the restaurant, he always say, "My A1 day one." That's when everybody was jumping sides. He stayed down with T. Now, he came through again for T, and T mentioned again, "My A1 day one." So what happens is Lucille, she's Nicole seeing her dad, kissing and stuff like that, and she actually are getting back together, and the mom made a point to say, "No, we not." And so she pretty much is saying, "Well, I don't we still separated." And basically she want to do her thing even though she still got love for him. And Nicole pretty much said this is not going to end good. So she's at that age where she's talking back. So Lucille want to get her on birth control, pretty much don't want her end up like she said, "I don't want you to end up like me and stuck." And then she went on to say, "I don't want to like LaWanda and all them other girls that have got kids, and they ain't have no life." So basically Lucille don't want her to go through the struggles that she went through with having kids and stuff like that. So you could understand that from a parent standpoint. Meanwhile, it shows Charles pretty much said, "I thought we was doing good." And she's pretty much like, I don't want to basically I don't want to mislead you, but I still want to do my thing. Charles was like, pretty much, "I'll wait for you. I get and I'm gonna put this family back together." So it shows Lucille getting dressed later in the episode. She getting dressed and putting eyeliner on, and he asked her, like, "Where you going?" And she ain't hold him. She said, "We grown. I'm going out on a date with the doctor." And he pretty much said, like, "I appreciate you. I can respect you being honest with me and straight up. And I'm going to give you all the space you need." So she went out to dinner with the doctor. The doctor's pretty much confessing his love for her. They danced and everything like that. And while they was dancing, the doctor got a phone call, a page from her phone number. And what it was is LaWanda went into labor, and Nicole found his number on the mom's dresser, and she paged her. And so they rushed home to help LaWanda out. So meanwhile, that's when Nicole called T at the restaurant. T rushed in. Charles came in. When he came in, the doctor was helping LaWanda birth her child. So it was like an awkward situation. LaWanda pretty much didn't want to see T because she said, "I know where you was at. You was with, Markeisha, whatever." So I kept saying Lakeisha's Markeisha, so that was that. And so back in Atlanta, Meech, they kept bringing this HOA lady up, and so it's going to be something key with this lady's going to happen. So the HOA, Meech is in this neighborhood. He got to keep his grass cut and everything intact. So the lady kept bugging him, and he pretty much told her, "I know that you sleeping around on your husband when he not home." And so she was appalled that he said that, but he called her out on her stuff. Meanwhile, what happened. She came back and gave Meech a fine. And so when she gave Meech a fine, Meech burned it up in her face. Him and the girl he's been staying with, Angel. And so Angel is still dancing. So I don't know if Meech take her serious or not. But so Meech was telling everybody he going to St. Louis to, till stuff died down. And so Angel was pretty much like, hey, I want to go with you. He's like, nah, you need to stay here. I'm taking this spot. I'm taking this trip dolo. And she like, yo, who gonna protect me? Ain't nobody gonna be here for me. He said, yo, you strong. You got this. You'll be straight while I'm going or whatever. And so she's like, well, you can't hold it against me if I end up with somebody else. And she said, I heard Glock and them, sturdy, and they got everything going on. And he was like, I can't believe you, after all this that we've been through, that you would even say something like that to me. So basically he was like, yo, you went against my circle of trust, so I can't have you in my circle. And so pretty much he deaded her or whatever. So she basically is dependent on somebody. She gotta be dependent on somebody at every cost. So she gotta jump from one person to the next. So it's kind of showing her character. And that was pretty much the episode for Meech. The episode ended with what's her name? Henrietta, with her goofy character self, showing up to tease day one A1 guy. I don't know his name, but you remember him. Got the box fade, and he's sitting there chilling. He showed the fellas love, gave him money, bought them tickets to the go see the game, gave them all Detroit jackets, so they all chilling out in the parking lot, and he's the only one left in the parking lot. She rolls up with a torch, with goofy glasses on, with a torch, and it just that scene was why. And she pretty much sets him on fire with the torch, and she just sat there and laughed, and pretty much showing like she don't value life and how cruel she is. But like, who would just sit there and somebody got it? Ain't like he was like dazed and he was out of it, and she just rolled up, caught him off guard. No, she faced up with him. He faced up with her. He looked at her. I guess he like as if he wasn't think she got the balls to do it, and she just set him on fire. He just stood there, took it, and burnt the crisp. Man, I said that was her character was goofy. That scene was goofy, but T's A1 Day One is burnt down now. So we already see the doomsday is just for Henrietta's grade drop or whatever. I guess they trying to make her like the first two seasons Lamar was like a cannon, like doing crazy stuff, but Lamar was kind of more believable, except that time he killed the cop in the hospital. That was ridiculous. He killed the cop in the hospital and he was still rolling around Detroit. Like that was ridiculous. So maybe they trying to do that, like make her character real annoying and just be antagonizing and whatever. But I don't know, character's goofy. Nevertheless, that was the episode. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Till next time.